What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's a brand new build. Got ourselves an LS here, which we'll be getting all freshened up. We'll get a 4L60 all rebuilt, be all cammed, all of our favorite stuff, and it is going into a VR Commodore, which apparently is quite tidy. I haven't seen the car yet, but apparently it's pretty nice. So it should be a nice, pretty straightforward conversion. As you guys know, we've stopped taking on LS patrol conversions and things like that, just for the sake of not really having the facilities to have these long-term builds around all the time. But a lot of this is going to get sorted out before the car even gets here, and then once the car gets here, hopefully we've got everything here and it's not going to be a big deal. I say that, probably famous last words, because conversions never go that way. But anyway, how this came about, actually, we decided to take on this job for this guy, and he actually supplied us a donor vehicle. And the donor vehicle got here, and it is cool. It is really cool. And it would be a shame to wreck, but not only that, because of what it is, it'd actually be a bit of messing around to use it basically as a donor. So I've made a deal with him that essentially I'm going to keep the donor. Eventually I'll get it on the road, but obviously I can't drive for quite a while because of my latest diagnosis. So I can't drive until like December because of my epilepsy. So I'm not in a rush to get it sorted, but I will get it sorted and get it on the road, and I'm going to keep it. And in return, obviously, we'll sort out a donor engine and gearbox and make sure it's all fresh and make sure it's all the same spec as sort of what he provided as a donor. And that's pretty much how it's worked out, which works for everyone. But this is what it is, just a little sneak peek for you guys. It's an adventure wagon. How freaking sick. So LS all-wheel drive with a really cool torque bias to the rear. It's got a working sunroof and everything. Like, this thing is cool. Like, it just seemed a real shame to part it out. But not only that, because it's all-wheel drive, the tail housing on the gearbox is different, the sump's different, there's a few different things. So you can see, not too bad, not too great, but certainly fixable. Seat covers, daily, like, I'm pretty keen on it. So I'm happy to keep that and make sure we just supply him a fresh engine, fresh gearbox. So that's what we're doing. So at the moment, I got this engine for a fairly good price off a mate. Still ridiculous pricing for an LS1 if you ask me, but in this market, this day and age, you can't be too picky. They are expensive engines now. It's just what it is. So it wasn't too bad of a price for this market. Still the most I've ever paid for an LS1, but we're just gonna pull it apart, basically see how the bores and stuff are, if we're going to be able to get it rebuilt for a decent price, if it doesn't need too much machining and pistons and stuff like that, all sweet. If not, well then we'll put that engine on the back burner and we'll pull another engine out of one of our Statesmans or something that we've got here, because that's the deal. Obviously, if we're going to keep the donor he supplied, we have to supply a donor that's of good quality, and you know, if this thing needs pistons and stuff, it's going to end up too much for us to rebuild it. So if this doesn't work out, we'll pull the engine out of another car, but that's what's going on. So LS rebuild, obviously one of our complete cam kits. We'll freshen up a 4L60 and do some modifications, try and keep it alive. And yeah, all this will be going into a VR Commodore, so happy days. So Bo's just starting to pull this apart now. We'll see what the bores look like, which is the main concern. Obviously bearings and stuff are not a big deal, but yes, yeah. Righto guys, so continuing on, I just checked the video to see how much I'd filmed previously and realised that the good old GoPro, once again, doing GoPro things, didn't record any audio for the clips that I had recorded. So, lucky I checked that and now I can sort of explain. So it's been a little while, obviously. We've had the Christmas break and then we didn't have a very good start to 2024. So unfortunately, a few things have been on the back burner, but we're getting stuck back into this now. So the good old LS1 that we got was actually a really nice engine. It ended up being very good condition. Really stoked with it. Like I did explain at the very start of this video, still the most I've ever paid for an LS1. But in today's climate, for how much these things cost, it wasn't really, you know, you can't complain. The market is the market. But judging off a lot of the ones that we have bought and pulled down for other people that have purchased, this thing was in very good condition and we're really stoked about that. So at the moment, Bo's getting stuck into doing some ring gaps for us. So gapping up some rings, fresh rings for it. So it's been pulled down, sent to the machine shop, it's been fully machined, you know, just honed, washed. We had the crank linished, but it was in quite good condition. It's not going to need undersized bearings or anything, just standard, I believe. I'll double check the crank. It's been a while since I had it machined, but I'm pretty sure it's standard. So it's going to be a really good little setup. So basically just everything you normally see in just a stock bottom end rebuild from us, and then one of our complete level 2 OSP warehouse cam kits. So all the things you standard would normally see us do, degree of the cam in, everything else. It's going to get a new oil pump. We'll run you through it as we go, but overall, stoked on the condition of it. So since we started the project, we've been talking to the owner. Haltech has released their Nexus Rebel LS, which is just such a freaking awesome bit of gear. Value for money is just insane. And it would be perfect for this car, except that we do want to run just a 4L60 in this car. And at this stage, the Rebel LS doesn't offer any automatic gearbox control. Now, it does have a breakout loom for automatic gearbox control though. So I do believe, much like what Haltech has done with the IC7, I think all the hardware and all the capabilities are there to do gearbox control. And I believe that we will see that in a future firmware update. So, which, yeah, it's hard because the Rebel LS, even compared to when you price up having to find a standard Gen 3 LS ECU, using a second-hand loom or even just wiring up a Gen 3 PCM from scratch, you start to look at how much all that's going to cost compared to one of these Nexus Rebel LSs, and it's insane, the capabilities of these ECUs and the price. So I'm really hoping that we can work something out and be able to use one of these Rebel LSs in this car, just because of it's just going to make it not only way simpler, but just so much better, infinitely better. So anyway, we'll work towards that as we get there. We've still got to obviously get this engine together, and then we've got to sort out the gearbox side of things. Rex is booked in with our gearbox builder to go and be an apprentice for a day and learn how to build gearboxes. It's something that we've been wanting to sort of get into for a long time. We just struggled with time, but circumstances and the rest of the things, it's getting to that point where now is the time, and we're really excited to sort of start doing a bit more gearbox stuff for people. So that's the plan. Anyway, we'll get that sorted, and then we'll start looking at getting the car here and getting it in there. But this engine is getting CNC ported 241s. The Crow 1212, which as a lot of you know, is just my go-to cam for Cathedral Port LSs now. So it should be a really staunch little setup. 3200 converter with the 4L60. We'll build them a nice little box, shift kit it, try and give it the best chance of survival. But VR is a fairly light car. Hopefully it should all do pretty well. So we'll keep going, keep moving forward. Righto guys, it's been a hot minute, but the big bad LS1 for this VR Commodore is going together now. I've done all the bearing clearances, gapped the rings. Bo actually gapped the rings and did the mains, and I've just done all the rods, the big ends, which were all sweet. So just clean up the crank, a few places, a few things I wanted to clean up, bottle brush the crank. We're just ready to start putting it together. I'll pull these mains off, chuck the crank in, check the end float, and then it's time to start assembling. Yeehaw. So at the moment, this guy's been very patient, very grateful for how patient he's been, because this past few months has been just an absolute, excuse my French, shit show here anyway. So we're a bit delayed. At the moment, I'm just waiting for, make sure we have somewhere we can keep his car undercover. At the moment, all of our undercover bays are taken up by other cars. So I'm trying to get this engine together so I can get this other engine together for another car that's out there. That can go in the car. Got to get this other engine together as well. So I'm trying to create some room so we can move around in here and get this sorted. But once this other car's gone that engine's for, we can finally get his car out here. So because of the new Nexus Rebel LS being released, we were pretty hoping that we would be able to just run a Nexus Rebel LS in this thing. But unfortunately, because of the lack of automatic gearbox support at this stage, it's not going to work with this 4L60E right now. So we're just going to have to run a standard Gen 3 PCM to control the gearbox and the car all the same. So there is a company that do just a plug and play loom to convert a 3rd gen Commodore. So tell them it's a VR, this and that. They'll actually send them the V6 loom, and they will build an integrated LS loom for the car. So that's about the next best thing, or the easiest way to go about it, but they do need the loom out of the car. Which means that we need the car here to start pulling it apart and get started on it. So that's what we're trying to work towards. So as soon as we have a place, we'll get it here. So at the moment, engine will go together, and then we'll worry about that. So the bottom end, guys, is nothing crazy. Obviously the block's been machined, cleaned up, honed, new cam bearings, etc. We're going obviously new bearings all out, new rings, and just new GM hardware. So we've got new GM main bolts. We've got brand new GM rod bolts, and just the old rods and pistons are going back in the engine, the old crank. So just a basic stock bottom end rebuild for this thing. As far as the top end goes, it's essentially getting one of our complete level 2 kits. It's getting CNC ported 241 heads with a Crow Cams 1212, which, as these guys know, I'm a huge fan of. So I'll touch on the top end when we get there, but all of our standard level 2 things, ARP head bolts, CHE trunnion upgrade, etc, etc. Righto guys, we've got our fresh rebuilt stock bottom LS1 together. very happy with how this all came together and how it all came about. So next thing we're waiting on, I don't know how it ended up happening, but I actually ended up short a timing set. So I've been waiting for a timing set to arrive to be able to keep putting this together. So yeah, not sure how that ended up happening, but we did end up short a timing set. Now, we've got our CNC heads here that Bo's finished assembling. So let's get our VTK LS8 spring kit, a beautiful next-gen engineering CNC ported 241 heads. So they should complement this setup very, very nicely. So as you guys have seen many a times on this channel, tried and true setup, our CNC ported cathedral heads from Next Gen Engineering, plus our Crocam's 1212 grind camshaft and our regular upgrades, all our normal go-to upgrades for these things. This is a really tried and true strong street combo for LS1s. So really excited to see how this thing goes in a VR. This will be really good. Righto guys, we've got timing set we were waiting for. It has arrived. So Bo's dialing in this cam now, and the rest of this engine can now go together. And I'll do something I haven't done for a while, which is time lapse. So he's gonna all let me know if Bo's slacking off and stealing from us. Anyway, I believe that is the last thing we're waiting on for this particular engine to get it all together, and should be able to completely go together now, which is good. And I'll start organising with the owner to get his vehicle here and get started on that. And Rex has been organising with our gearbox builder a time to get up to him and start working on getting a gearbox together for it. And yeah, should be happy days. Guys, GoPro camera all got flat battery, and I had to shoot home and go pick up, well, not home, but I had to go get my son from kindy and all the rest of it. So anyway, Bo got as far as he did before he headed home. I'm not sure if he may have stopped with the one head because we still have to CC a chamber. So we'll use the other head, CC a chamber, do some piston injectors. There's a few little checks I still have to do with this engine. So it's probably a good Good thing that he pulled up where he did. What's up, guys? We got this lovely, really nice looking VR Commodore. Full granny spec, as you can see. Sun visor. We've got the louvers, Venetians, in the back. Looking wicked. Already got the LOCO LS plates, which is pretty sick. And it is tidy. Look inside this thing. It is really, really tidy. Still got the factory, like, car. Yeah, anyway. The whole thing just is mint. I'm a big fan. Anyway, we are putting an LS in it and 4L60, and we're getting rid of the old Buick V6. It is going.
I'm sure they're shocked that we're doing an LS conversion.
Yeah. Who'd have thought? LS conversion. It is getting a built, upgraded 4L60, and it will be the first onsong built gearbox that we're sort of doing. So Rex has been venturing into gearbox territory as far as building gearboxes. Our normal gearbox builder is looking, or has been threatening to retire forever, and he's been kind enough to essentially pass on a lot of his knowledge to us. So he's been helping Rex. Rex has been going there, doing some gearbox builds with him, learning. We're in the process of tooling up with all the specialty tools you need to do gearboxes, and we plan on building a nice tough little 4L60 for this thing to cop a bit of a beating. And in the meantime, I have built an LS for it. It's got a full rebuild, new cam bearings, all new bearings and rings, machine shop honed. But yeah, it's just a stock bottom end LS1 with CNC ported 241s from Next Gen Engineering. All our general upgrades, you know, CHE trunnion kit's got the 1212 in it from Crow, which you know we love. I've supplied him a later LS6 style intake manifold with a billet throttle body. We decided just to put the billet throttle body on it because they're easy to get. Billet oil, filler, supplied basically all the bolt-ons and everything. So this is the little engine we've built for it. So, you know, if we can make a good, nice little sort of close to 400 wheel out of this thing, that'll be mint, but we'll see what happens. We've also got our 3200 red diamond converter ready to go in it that we always pair with that cam and the LS1. So yeah, little 3200 converter, red diamond, and a hopefully pretty built 4L60 with our nice little cammed up LS1, and this thing should be nice and cranky and go pretty well. So we've got, he's supplied a shifter that he likes in the back there. It's a ratchet type shifter. And we've also got from Build Ninja, just like we put in the VC, the little gear indicator, sorry, but a little gear indicator that sort of keeps everything factory. It's all nice and backlit, keeps it all looking mint. So we're trying to sort of keep the interior all as factory as possible. Try and keep everything just as nice and factory as possible, and this thing will just look like this, but be a cranky, angry little LS1. It's also bagged in the rear, so yeah, happy days. So anyway, we're still in the process of building the gearbox, so it's not ready yet, but what we do need to do is, I can't remember exactly what the company is, and I apologize. I think it's, I can't remember, but there is a company, and I will correct myself in this video before I sign it off, but there is a company that you essentially send them an LS loom and the V6 loom out of the car, and they modify it, make it well, not even standalone, they make it integrated, and they send you back a loom that you can just literally integrate. And it's meant to pretty much be a plug and play conversion loom. So we're working on getting the V6 out so we can get the loom out intact that we need to send off, so that we can get the loom happening and on the way. And then hopefully by the time the loom gets back, the gearbox will be ready, and then we can smack our conversion in here and get it happening. It'll be party time for LOCO LS. Anyway, yeehaw.